The Cerritos is escorting a Doopler emissary to Starbase 25 for trade negotiations. Rutherford and Tendi are building a working model of the Cerritos, and Ensign Boimler orders a prune juice spritzer. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
We're also joined by associate producer Marie Segal, MD.
Thank you for having me.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing a review of Lower Decks Season 2, Episode 5, entitled An Embarrassment of Dooplers. How you guys doing?
So good. Episode's amazing.
All right. So let's just get into it. There's so much to do, but before we do that, very quickly, we do want to give a shout out to somebody very special out there. His name is Cirroc Lofton, and he kicked ass at the Star Trek Day event yesterday. It was really, really cool in person to see the crowd react to the things that Cirroc was saying. And I was very happy to see that and to hear that. Cirroc, you were awesome. You made us all proud. I don't know why we're still surprised by how well you do these things, but it was quite a highlight. We loved it. Twitter loved it. Tumblr loved it, if I remember correctly.
And, the Twitter live stream of it was saying, people were saying they love Seventh Rule during while you were talking to in the live chat part.
Oh, wow. Seventh Rule getting their shout out. Nice.
Mm-hmm. So that was really cool. Good work, Cirroc. Great highlight.
Awesome. Yeah, I was glad to take part in it. It was a great event to be a part of. And obviously a momentous one, celebrating 55 and 100. So it was kind of a lot going on. Yeah.
Some people were missing the ceiling fan, though.
There were some calls for the ceiling fan. The Twitterverse was a flutter with the lack of ceiling fan.
They're like, yo, where is that fan?
Mm-hmm. That's funny. That's the ceiling fan base.
Yes. I was very honored to be able to give some opening remarks before they place, the Deep Space Nine stuff that they were going to do. So it was good.
Awesome.
Good.
You're the best.
Also, I almost forgot. Look at this. Oh, you can't see it. You can't.
Oh my gosh, you're being trapped under a boulder.
Well, you're just going to have to trust me that this is a gigantic...
It looks like a gift box of some sort.
Yeah, it's a big one. Wait, let's see if... Yeah, here we go.
Star Trek Day, yay!
Okay, so...
With some really freaking amazing things in it.
We're going to do an unboxing thing, but not yet. We're going to do that on Tuesday. That's a teaser, everybody. Something big is going to happen on Tuesday, and part of it is going to be unboxing that thing, probably. Anyway, let's get to this episode. Boy, oh boy, there were so many things. Anne-Marie, before we started recording, you couldn't stop talking about the episode. So now proceed.
Well, I don't even know where to start because it was all just, it was such a fun romp. And you know that my favorite things are shipping in my favorite thing is shipping in Star Trek. And it just felt so like Boimler and Becky were so cute together. And they just had such an adorable dynamic. And it reminded me so much of like Kira and Odo, especially that one episode where they're in a shuttle like together, and Odo is mad she didn't ask him to go to dinner with that like mayor of the planet. And then she was like, well, I know you don't like to accept those invitations. And he's like, well, I just wanted to be asked. And it's just like really cute. And you know that they're starting to like be a little coupley. And it had like major vibes like that in this episode. I loved it. And then
do you ship them more, or Rutherford and Tendi more, or Shax and Ta'ana?
Are Kira and Odo included in that?
What?
Like, I ship Kira and Odo more than anything.
No, as far as the Lower Decks crew.
Oh, you know what? I think actually now I'm shipping Boimler and Mariner the most. Wow. They're so cute. I just could barely even stand it. And it just felt like a very TNG story. Like the solution is a very TNG episode kind of solution, like sort of like Shades of Grey, where you give Riker bad memories to cure him instead of sexy memories to make it worse.
No Shades of Grey, please.
No, I love Shades of Grey.
That's
10
the
on
worst
IMDb.
episode in the history
The
of
best.
Star Trek.
A montage of Riker's hookups. But
So,
anyway,
Anne-Marie, let me ask you, you think that there's a budding kind of romance between Boimler and Mariner?
yeah. And, you know, I kind of was in the camp of, I don't really think the show needs that. Let's just have it be platonic. But then today, it was just so, they were so cute together, especially the part about like, hey, that was a private moment between us. Like, it just, it felt so much like when friends are like in the friend transitioning out of friend zone. It was really cute. I love
Wait,
it.
people can transition out of the friend zone? I thought the whole point of the friend zone was that.
And I feel like this is
I
why
thought
love
the whole
Star Trek
point of the
shows so
friend
much.
zone was that you can't get out of the friend zone.
Sometimes you can, and then it can be a really beautiful relationship because you're such good friends. And very few like shows can actually capture that sort of thing. And I feel like Star Trek once again is capturing really beautiful types of relationships, budding in moments that aren't easily capturable. So I really love that. And then in addition, there's so many things that we need to talk about that were hilarious. Random deep cuts that just lasted like a second. I just totally blown away. And I know I keep saying like, this is my favorite episode. This is my favorite episode. I think this one is.
Oh, wow. Oh, so here are a few deep cuts that I enjoyed. One was
Can I ask your number one enjoyment?
Okay, go ahead.
Captain Shelby.
Oh, you know what? You may be right. There were only three things that I put in all capital letters in my notes, meaning they're the big thing. Captain Shelby was one of them that could very well have been my favorite. Captain Shelby, Cirroc, was somebody from Next Generation. Really good stuff, really good 2-part episode. And she was a lieutenant commander. And oh man, it's just so good. She totally tells off Riker. Anyway, the best line she ever.
Best of Both Worlds, Part 1, that solidified Star Trek being like a raging success.
When she says, "You're in my way" to Riker, it's just priceless. But anyway, so now it shows her being a captain, and that's really cool. And while we're on that subject, she was with an alien that was the original concept design for Saru on Discovery.
No way.
Yeah. And actually, some other people caught that. I can pull that up.
That's amazing.
Somewhere. Oh, here we go. This one is by Andre Kottman. Check it out. So, I mean, we recognized it right away because it's been mentioned before. It's been mentioned before that this was what Saru was going to look like originally, this alien here.
I can't even get over that.
But then they changed it. Yeah, but then they changed it.
Those eyes? Are those eyes?
Yeah.
I just like love that they know about that story and then have included it. Mm-hmm. That's just amazing.
The other capitalized things, if we're going on that.
Can I guess? There are 2 others?
Sure.
Or are we not playing this game?
No, go ahead.
The bunch of Mr. Motts cutting hair.
No, although I missed that. Wow, really? Damn, I love that guy.
Mr. Mott.
It was like a.
He's another Next Generation guy. He's a Bolian. He was featured in like 2 episodes, and Picard pretended to be him in Starship Mine when he gave the Vulcan net grip to Tuvok or to Tim Russ playing a different guy. But yeah, he pretended to be the barber. No.
Well, now that we have like 3 Mr. Motts, and it's clearly like a franchise because we also saw it in Picard. It's like Fast Clips or whatever that like strip mall barbershop is. It's like taking over the galaxy. But,
so the other thing was,
and then my other guess was number 1.
Number 1. No, it's Scants. When he mentioned dressing in Scants, Cirroc, that was the very first season of Next Generation. There were a couple people, maybe only once an actual dude was walking by in the Scant uniform. That's kind of like when they're wearing the uniform is like a dress for dudes.
Like a mini dress with nothing on their legs.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
like
know.
a miniskirt, you mean?
Yeah, you see like men cosplaying it sometimes at STLV. It was like in an encounter at Farpoint in the deep background if you magnify like
Okay, here, I'll pull it up.
Scant uniforms.
I'll pull it up here.
I also love that.
Cirroc?
Like,
Would you...
That's a scant?
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Because they can you imagine Odo walking around in that, or Captain Sisko walking around?
I mean, Captain Sisko has nicer legs. Because in the Emissary Part 1, when he's on the beach with Jennifer, I feel like he could rock it.
Do you wear that like a kilt with nothing underneath it? Is that how you
That's always the question.
That's the rule. Now the third thing was just for myself was when Boimler says, "I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I didn't know you had any feelings." I don't know if this was deliberate, but that is nearly a direct quote of a Megadeth song from their second album.
Oh my god!
So anyway, that's a Peace Sells, but who's buying? Shout out to Megadeth. I should have worn a Megadeth shirt just to hint, but he says, "No, it's not Peace Sells. It's Sweating Bullets from their fourth album." Anyway, Sweating Bullets. He says, anyway, nobody cares except me and like 2 or 3 other people, probably Scott Jensen.
Is it spelled scants?
SCANT.
SKANT.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I knew that.
Okay. So no, every time I see people at the conventions wearing these, I thought it was something else. I had no idea about.
Thought it was a hybrid.
Like, okay. Some kind of hybrid or their own like choice. I didn't realize it was actually pulled out of the episodes, and that that it was it's a unisex thing. Is that what it is? Because I see women wearing it.
Troy was kind of wearing it, so I guess you could say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really
so I
into
guess it's a unisex short skirt, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So those were
you learn more every time. Every day you learn something.
There were a lot of really big things, though. One was a really cool one. Oh no, the third thing. Did I even say the third thing? I just said 2 things. Yeah, the third thing for me was the avians. There are a couple of the avian species. I forgot what they're called. From the animated series, and that was really cool. It was like in an episode, maybe 2 episodes, but definitely one where they're like on a planet with like 6 different aliens. So that was really cool to see. If you remember Cirroc, when they're driving through the aviary and there are 2 bird people, they're like sitting down chatting. Those were references to the animated series. So many references to the animated series. Who?
So I like that scene.
Went out with one.
All right.
She said she used to date one. But I love that couple, like when they were almost out of the aviary, who were like, let's move to the aviary, he says. It'll be so quiet, he says. So,
yeah, it'll be so quiet, he said. That was
I wanted to have an aviary sitcom. They're so cute.
Aviary, is that what it is?
Yeah, which felt like a lot like the Arboretum on like TNG, where people would go for dates. So I thought it was fun when like Mariner said, "Oh, I guess she went to the aviary for a date once." I thought it was.
Oh, you know what else I noticed? And Anne Marie, you'll know this one. Another Next Generation reference from like one of the first seasons. There was one of those fish aliens, with like the fish head. Okay. What's that alien called?
Okay. So everyone calls them like fish people and dog people, and one of them wanted to eat each other, so they had to keep the other one like asleep with tranquilizers. And it's a Deanna Troy episode in TNG, so I love it. And at the end, she like kind of solves it, what the whole ship was trying to solve in like 1 minute, just because she's that good at telepathy. Yeah. So anyway, but
and also because they were out of time and they had to move on with the episode.
So everybody always calls them fish people.
Yeah.
And in the background, you hear one of them call out, "Hey, we're not people." It's just so funny that like that callback to what fans call them got brought up. There's so many lines like that in this episode that are hilarious little deep cuts.
Yeah, we didn't But we never knew what that alien species was called
I think
because I don't know.
Might have been referenced one time, either at the beginning of the episode or the end. Because I think at least the dog people were labeled. And isn't that fish person actually played by Mick Fleetwood?
That's what I seem to recall, yes, of Fleetwood Mac. So everybody in the comments below, please let us know, what are these fish people called that are not people?
They're not
what are these fish aliens called? And is that in fact Mick Fleetwood, which I believe it was, yeah.
The best was that, I mean, just starting from like this first second of the episode, that TNG dinner spread that they had with like the Dooplian emissary, like it looked so much like when ambassadors come to TNG and they like put all that crap on the table in that color with all the like darker green leaves and like pine cones and candles. It looked so authentic.
I also saw quickly a female benzite, which was cool to see. Caught a female benzite. Benzites are some of my favorite aliens. We don't really touch on them too much. It's another next generation one. There's a lot of next generation stuff.
That made me think also, I couldn't remember the name of that blue alien who is the one who like spiked the data bubble bath with Klingon disruptors.
Yeah, was that? I recognize him.
He was that guy in TNG. So I'm so bad at TNG episode names. But it's the one where like they kidnap. Oh, it's the one where they kidnap Picard.
Gambit?
And replace
Gambit
him.
1 and 2?
No. It's an early season. And Picard's like held in a room with a Starfleet officer, a Nausicaan. I think it's a Nausicaan, something like that.
Okay, right. Yeah, I don't remember what that was.
And he's like held hostage for a few days. And it's so that he can be studied, and they replace him on the ship with a different Picard who like buys everybody beers.
I believe he's in one of the aliens he's with is a female Bolian, like one with like hair.
So I think that was actually this alien, a girl who's this, wasn't it? Or was it?
That was a Bolian with hair.
It was a guy. Okay, sorry. But that's definitely the episode this guy's from.
Okay, but did you guys notice somebody from Deep Space Nine, Cirroc, when they're driving the car?
Well, there were actually.
I noticed. All I saw was a Quark reference. I saw Quark's car, I think.
There were a few Morns running around.
Yeah, I mean, but
during that, like
there was like a
chase.
Oh, really?
One popped up and then had to jump out of the way.
Right, I was like, okay, that's just a Lurian, right? But then I went back and I looked. I was like, actually, it's dressed the same as Morn. I mean, it might just be Morn. I mean, it's at a Quark's bar, right?
Well, but then when I watched it again, like I did see like at least 3 Lurians like lurking around, including that guy.
Were they dressed the same?
Some of them, so I couldn't really tell. I need more magnification, and it seems like all the nerds are tired from Star Trek days, so the Easter eggs are slow to roll in for this episode.
So, Cirroc, yeah, you were talking about Quark's bar. That's kind of the elephant in the room. It seems like, it looks like Quark's has expanded and is out franchising and becoming an empire. So at first we were like, whoa, that's where Quark's bar is. But now we're seeing Quark's is popping up everywhere, including the game. Like he's a game developer, or the Deep Space Nine model that comes with an Esri and a Jadzia.
It's Quark's on the side of the box.
It's like Milton Bradley now.
Quark's on the side of the box? I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm. So it's written like an
old game or an old like model where they put it like as a banner across the corner of the box.
He's expanding into gaming, into everything. So now we know Quark is doing beautifully in the future.
Well, also I love when Mariner was like, "There's a Quark's here. This just needs to be an empty lot where kids would make mistakes." So funny.
Yeah, that was a good line.
There's so many lines.
Yeah, he's blowing up. Quark's, every time we see him, he's doing big. So he must have had Moogie take over because she's the better business girl.
I mean, every little.
That's topical, right, Cirroc? Tune in a few days for our review of Ferengi love songs, starring Ishka, aka Moogie, with the business sense. Good knowledge there, Cirroc.
Oh, they also said Dabo when they like had to go through a casino.
Were these Dooplers something that they've talked about before on Star Trek, or is this a new thing?
New.
But they totally could have been. They were so like
They looked a lot like the
they're-
guy that like
The
played
Stratego.
Data. Yeah.
Stratego, yeah. Well, the other interesting thing about him was like there was something that like in TNG in the 90s, a lot of times they would get character actors from like 40s or 50s or 60s movies who sort of don't have like that many roles anymore just because Hollywood had sort of moved on. And so Star Trek would get them a lot. Like, for example, that like sort of the guy who used to play the tough guy who's like in The Big Goodbye in that episode we just reviewed for Deep
Remington
Space Nine.
Steele.
But anyway, so
Michael
I thought it reminded me a
Chiclet.
lot of like Ed Wynn, who was like Uncle Albert on Mary Poppins, and it's sort of like a throwback to who would they have chosen as a character actor to be in this 90s style Trek.
Isn't Uncle Albert a Paul McCartney Wings song too?
It's also in Mary Poppins. I mean, he had passed away by the 90s, but he's totally that genre. So I love that they drew a person who looked like someone that TNG would have hired from that sort of like group of people.
Wow, if that's legit, that is a deep cut. That is very good.
He seemed in some of that later scenes, it sounded like almost an impression. But then the other guy who seemed like an interesting character that was just like in this episode was Melvis, the blue guy we were just talking about. Because when I looked at him on IMDb, he's been in like 10 roles so far of Lower Decks. He was just in last week with like 2 characters. I'm like, this is like the Vaughn Armstrong of new Star Trek now.
So everybody at home, this is another question we have. Melvis, is that an alien we've seen before? Because it does remind me of an alien we saw in Next Generation, but I can't
that bonnet head.
Right.
It's like sort of an early Kai Wynn hat almost.
Yeah.
That's totally.
But what was that alien? What episode was that? I thought I recognized it, but I don't know for sure. The other thing is the green beetle looking aliens, right? With 8 legs. That's another animated series alien for sure. I know for a fact we've seen those in the animated series. I remember those guys for sure. And there were a bunch of those. So that's another animated series thing. I don't know what they're called. Actually,
we have to talk about these crottle legs really fast.
Okay. You guys talk about that, and I'm going to see if the people in the Lower Decks Facebook fan group know what the beetle looking thing is, because these guys know a lot, and I have not looked at the comments yet. So hit us up.
Jesse
with the crab
Tager
legs.
in those comments directed everybody to look up crottle eggs, which was the stand where like everybody was eating that meat on a stick. Apparently, like it's a Klingon like kind of street food. But the first place we hear about it is Kira telling Odo that she wants to go get some at the Klingon restaurant on Deep Space Nine. And then the other really interesting, so that's just, what is it called?
Excellent work,
that's
Jesse
just crottle
Taggart.
eggs. So that's just crottle eggs. But then I continued to read on Memory Alpha that crottle eggs are used on Discovery between, who are the ones I told you, who are the 2 names I told you? Mary Chieffo and you know, the other Klingon, the guy Klingon who's like,
Shazad Latif.
But I don't remember if it's which character he is. But apparently they share one on the set in Discovery, and like as an inside joke, they would refer to it as Mr. Crottle Legs for some reason. So apparently that inside joke has been put as the title, and now that like stand is called Mr. Crottle Legs, which I thought was like another weird, kind of like a Saru original outfit, like just an inside joke of them like on the set. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah. And I think now it's time. Everybody's always like clamoring for this. What is Cirroc Lofton's favorite line of the episode?
Oh gosh.
I know.
Favorite.
I know.
Oh wow.
I know. It's a toughie.
There were a few lines that I wrote down here that I liked. I'm just gonna say, because there was.
He's already laughing. It's a good one.
Yeah, well, they just make me laugh out loud, and they're just moments where I have to write down what they're saying because it's just so funny. For one, I like the delivery of when the Doopler said, "She's giving us the silent treatment."
I knew you'd love that.
I started busting out laughing because for a second it looked like, okay, this will work. This is working. And then he just completely went, flipped the script. So I love that line. It made me laugh out loud.
Real quick, my favorite line that they said, because they said a lot of good lines, but of the Dooplers, my favorite line they said, because that was a good one, but I liked when they like left, they like escaped or whatever. And he goes, "Is this because of us? They don't like us."
I thought it was cute when they were like, "There's nothing to be embarrassed about." Wait, that's what someone says when there is something to be embarrassed about.
You would like that one, Anne-Marie.
It's so cute.
Anyway, what else you got, Cirroc?
The other one, it was just a brief one, but it wasn't the greatest, but it did make me laugh out loud, is when they were barreling towards that one guy with a rake in his hand, and he's like, "This is how I die."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he was such a Boothby, which is the gardener at Starfleet Academy.
But he had an accent.
But they're not actually aliens. They're humans. So are they saying like the subset of human that are like old white men, they're gardeners in the future? It's really weird.
Yeah, like, a lot of people were getting Boothby vibes from him. He was dressed like
in
Boothby.
Boothby's family, so they all become gardeners.
He sure was dressed like them.
It was really...
real quick, here's a deep cut I caught. I don't think anybody's mentioned this yet, but at one point, I don't even remember who said it, but somebody yelled out, it might have been Shax, when the Dooplers were duplicating suddenly.
Yes. And they're supposed to be B-rated.
And he says, "Chaos on the bridge."
Oh.
He yelled that. Somebody, I think it was maybe Shax, somebody said that to the ship. And Chaos on the Bridge is a next generation documentary made by 455 Films.
How did
also
I
made the Deep Space Nine documentary, Voyager documentary, The Captains, all that. One of their big first ones was called Chaos on the Bridge. I thought you'd catch that, Anne-Marie, because you love that.
I can't, because it's my 10 out of 10 movie. But the reason I didn't catch it is because my head was exploding with all of the like one-liners going around, and the one that like just made me like have amnesia before and right after, because it just blew my mind, is when Shax has to berate them and he goes, "Your paw is weak and you disgust me." Like, I don't even know what that is. Like paw, like what the Bajorians do when they grab your ears to check for on Deep Space Nine. It was so funny. There were like this time I really felt like Deep Space Nine was worked in a little bit more. And then I also was very amused.
There was another line that I liked too, Anne-Marie. It can definitely go on a t-shirt, and you can use it for almost any occasion, which is, "I didn't put underwear on for nothing."
Yeah. I was like, huh.
I was like,
well, to be honest, I have always wondered about like visible panty lines through Star Trek uniforms, but that's never discussed.
Yeah, I thought of that before too.
Interesting.
That's actually Mariner's first
funny thing.
music album. It's entitled "I Didn't Put On Underwear for Nothing."
Well, I was really surprised when they like drove through that store and when was like, "Fine men's clothing." I was really surprised that like the guy working there wasn't Cardassian. But
it just looked like it would have been a perfect opportunity for a Garrick sighting, right?
Yeah. Although this is like that mid-level to small level size station where Garrick would hide at, because it seems pretty inconsequential. But it was really fun. Oh, and it looked like also this thing, I guess the casino that's called the Lucky, was it called the Lucky Ferengi? So I'm like, is that in competition with Quarks? Did Quarks lose its gambling license? Why are there two Ferengi establishments? I guess you don't know that much more about it. But there were like a couple other things that were really funny, like the part about like stacking crates, because like especially in TNG and Deep Space Nine, there's so many crates that are always neatly stacked, and you wonder how they get stacked. And like they're in the storage bays. And Mariner used to work on Deep Space Nine, so I'm like, did she used to do the stacking crates in the storage bays on Deep Space Nine? Which would mean she probably worked with Nog, because he was always hanging out in there doing jobs for Starfleet. Or like Jake was in there trying to buy baseball cards.
Now there's another deep cut in there that I assumed was a deep cut, but I didn't know. Like I was like, this sounds like it's something, because whenever they mention something deliberately and there's no real reason for it, you're like, okay, this has got to be a reference to something. And that was, well, I'll tell you in a second. First of all, a very important correction. When I initially said, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, I didn't know you had any feelings, was on the second album of Megadeth, Peace Sells But Who's Buying, and the song was Peace Sells But Who's Buying. And then I said, wait, was it Sweating Bullets? I've reconsidered. It was officially the first thing I said, which was Peace Sells But Who's Buying. So everybody commenting below about this, you don't worry.
Yeah.
We self-corrected.
It has been fully retracted.
But let us know if you know the song and if you love it or are aware of it. Now, the reference was, Anne-Marie, Okana.
Okay, so I was going to say, this is a good turnaround for my two music references. First, I'm just going to say, before I forget, that song that's like that disco song, sort of, when Boimler first goes into that captain's party, the after party, it's Stranger in Paradise, which is one of me and my dad's favorite songs. So I love that it's in Star Trek right now. But like Strangers in Paradise really did fit the scene. Like that was Boimler. And I loved how it was disco-fied. And then the other thing is Outrageous Okana, when I already was like, my ears perked up. I was like, Okana's DJing, but they didn't say Outrageous before his name, like the episode in TNG. So then when they showed him DJing at the end, I just thought it was so hilarious, and it was such a good animated version of him.
Who Okana is. Those of us who may not have seen The Next Generation.
This is it's a horrible, horrible episode. That's so bad. It's funny. It's called Outrageous Okana, and this guy who's basically, Billy Campbell, who was the runner-up to play Riker, and then later on became Rocketeer.
He was the number one runner-up to play number one.
So he is Outrageous Okana, and basically he comes on the ship because his ship needs repair, and he basically hooks up with like multiple women on the Enterprise. And Worf, whenever he's looking for him, he's always like, the computer always shows that he's in a different woman, like crew members' quarters. And then like when they go get him, like woman's out of breath and he's walking out like with his jacket in his arm. It was pretty risque for TNG or any Star Trek. But the funny thing also is that he was announced in Star Trek Prodigy, which is the Nickelodeon show. He's already been announced as a guest on that show. So it's really funny that like where he'll actually be talking. It's really funny that Lower Decks just brought him up also.
Yeah, they're warming us up for him.
Yeah, it's really cute. There were
DJ Okana. Nice.
Oh, you know, the other thing we didn't talk about was, in addition to how funny it is when they say Battle of the Pack-Led, just like having Battle and Pack-Led in a statement, it makes me giggle every time because they're not smart. So when they're like, when they get sold those limited edition Data Bubble Bath, Commander Data Bubble Baths, and then they're like, how do we know they're not some lores in there?
Right.
I just thought it was so funny because lore is Data's evil.
The funny
brother.
line is he says, "Are you sure this isn't a lore?" And the guy goes, "A couple of them might be lores, but."
And then it was so funny how like they kept like when they like that Nemesis dune buggy thing when that crashed in the water, and then all the bubble baths like came popping up, and then when she like popped off the head of one of them in her handle, she was on Zoom. I just thought it was all very, very cute. And then the Klingon Disruptors, I always have a special place in my heart because TJ still has his, but I got mine at Toys R Us in the 90s, and they looked like identical and would light up.
That's
noises.
Who? TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri?
TJ has his still, and sometimes he brings it on the show and has it like in the corner. We're major Klingon Disruptor toys from the 90s fans.
Another quick thing that I noticed was there was a guy in a Pike cart, in a Captain Pike cart, when they were trying to go by, and he was going by really slowly in an old school Captain.
We love Captain Pike.
I'm assuming that's what that was.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah, it was. And then there were, Ballroom Alpha totally cracked me up when they were looking for where the party was. And then that guy who was like trading her the information just like texted her where the party was, and she's like, Ballroom Alpha? It's like where everything is anyway. They didn't even need to ask. And
is that a reference to anything? Because I didn't recognize that.
No, just because like everything. Well, first of all, at conventions and like hotel, everything's always Ballroom A or Ballroom B. I just thought it was fun they Star Trekked it up. But there were two other things that I wanted to make sure I mentioned, like the model when they're like, it's like our social deflector dish, which was so fun. And then it was so much fun when like to get the what are they called? Dooplers?
Dooplers?
To get them away from them. They were like, detonate the warp core, which is always like being threatened on Star Trek. And then like they actually included in their model like a high pitched, because it's probably like a small thing doing the talking, like a high pitched eject the warp core countdown, like in especially like Voyager episodes. And there was a fun Voyager D reference when like Mariner's trying to sneak into the party. But the other thing that I didn't
hear that. What was there was a Voyager reference?
Yeah, when Mariner's trying to sneak into the party, he's like, "What ship do you serve on?" And she goes, "Voyager D," like trying to lie and name a cooler ship, which was fun. But then I also really love that like Kirk and Spock moment, and I love cool. Kirk and Spock is a lot, but I'm not like a major fanatic like some people, and it's even I was really touched the moment they showed Kirk and Spock had been there, and I just love imagining them trying to crash a party and not being able to get in. And like
that felt like a 2009 JJ movie. You know, when they're youngsters, they're little young rascals.
It was just so cute, and I was like, I love the idea of them trying to party crash. It's just this whole episode was amazing.
Okay, so real quick, let's. I threatened this earlier. We should take a quick look at the Lower Decks group, Facebook group here, to make sure we didn't miss anything. So this is the picture for it, because the Gorn, come on, that's Party Gorn. Shout out to TJ Jackson-Bey.
Which has already been edited to include Jeffrey.
Oh, good. Our buddy Andre Kottman, noticed that this kind of looked like Judge Dredd. Interesting. And here's the alien, the Cirroc alien, genius. Of course, Quarks. There are portraits of Maress and Eric's. I didn't catch that at all. That's two characters from the animated series as well. God, so much animated series stuff. Okay, so here's the guy Anne-Marie was talking about.
Outrageous O'Donnell. I love how he beams on the ship. Like that's some good game.
So that's his
DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where like he picks up a second later. The woman who's working at the transporter console is what's her name?
Looks like he doubles as a pirate.
Carrie Hatchet.
Yeah, that's the guy that was almost Riker. Right there. The Rocketeer.
And then he became the Rocketeer afterwards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a pirate.
Captain Shelby they mentioned. Jadzia and Ezri was really cool.
That was so cute. I love how the models were on those like plastic things that you used to have to like snap out the pieces to put it together. So I love that Quark did that attention to detail in his shipping.
Well, not only that, but it's the fact that they're, Star Trek is starting to bring up like reference the collectibles and the memorabilia and the merchandise. Like they're adding that.
Happy bubble bath. That's like something you totally would get at like Disney World.
Yeah, like the bubble bath, like the DS9 model, like the Cerritos model. Those are all like references to the real life collectibles that are out here. So they're actually incorporating even those kinds of themes and topics, which I think is a great way to be self-deprecating and keep the humor up in this show.
Mm-hmm.
And it really shows like Mike McMahon knows his like Star Trek fandom so well, not even just the show. Amazing.
Right.
Now, real quick, I think Jason Flynn points out that this episode reminded him of, I think that's Rick and Morty. I think they were called like Meeps or Mr. Meeps or something like that. He doesn't give us anything to work with, but that's just the picture. And I think that's what that's from. That's interesting. Doomcock. Okay. I think that's one of those YouTube guys. Guardians, Ephraim Cochran's Phoenix. Oh, okay. Anyway, so lots of good stuff.
Anne-Marie, also, I think before we got started, you were talking a little bit about how the beginning of the show was a little bit different than it normally is. I was expecting, the usual format, which is that little teaser that they play. Yeah. And then they go into the credits. Just like all the shows, pretty much.
I swear that like recently I noticed that they do it so that it feels even more 90s. Track. Right. They always do that like cold open before the credits. today I was like, am I losing my mind? Have they not been doing that? And I just dreamt it. To go back and look. Also, I really want to like freeze it when they knock over those kiosks, like when they're on their chase with the cars, because I wanted to see all the accessories that were like on it and then that fell off, because it looked like there was a cool purse, sort of like you can buy on Etsy, that had like the captain colors and the shapes that your purse matches like a captain shirt. Or it looked like sort of TNG color tea bags. I was wondering, but I need to do a better job. It looked like something that fell off the kiosk were tea bags that were colored in like red and purple, like they might be merchandised Earl Grey from like that Picard might drink.
Cute. Real quick shout out to our good buddy Mr. Don Crandall. He also sends us this very important picture of the avian bird alien that we were talking about.
Oh my God, so
that's
cute.
From the animated series.
Oh my God.
And also he points out that Saru was originally going to look like this, but now he looks like that. Always good stuff from Don Crandall. Anyway,
I like this. I like the Saru decision that they went with as opposed to that one. That one's a little bit dark and a little menacing to me.
Great. There's the fish alien right there.
Fleetwood. Okay. I just realized I don't have a manicure.
Yeah, totally, Cirroc, because you can't act in something that big and cumbersome. You know, and you can't see those where all these extra eyes, you're hitting walls and stuff. And so obviously when you have somebody as hyper talented as Doug Jones, you want him to be able to.
Plus he's tall already, so I can only imagine like with an extra foot of headdress on.
It's kind of like blocking Jake and Nog.
Exactly. You'd be like 7 feet tall with that.
Also, it sort of looks like a lot like that movie that Doug Jones already was in. You know, like that Spanish film.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
When he goes like
that. I agree with that.
Good knowledge.
I thought it was funny that they were trying to get in the club and that they're not on the list. That's a whole nother segue or section of jokes. You know, there's always a bunch of that going on at conventions or wherever you're at. You know, are you on the list, or do you have your thing, you have your badge, you have
Don't
your
pretend like that's ever happened to you, Cirroc. You've been let in everywhere.
No, I've had it, but
he's like, I've heard.
Word on the street. I read it on an AOL message board.
I thought it was hilarious, though. And then also the fact that when Rutherford detonated the warp core, it just came out like this little thing in his hand. And I thought he was going to use it to like stop the Dooplers from magnifying or from reproducing. And instead, he just uses it to open a little hatch that I felt like they could have opened by just, throwing something at it. So I thought that was another funny joke. Like they go through all this detonate the warp core talk, and then you're just using it to like pop a hatch open. That was good stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Okay. So we only have a minute left. The title was fun too. An Embarrassment of Dooplers, like a play on the phrase "an embarrassment of riches."
Yeah, I love them. They were really fun. They were so early TNG.
Mm-hmm.
Great aliens.
Any final thoughts?
Oh, another line I liked was the blonde one did most of the drinking when the bartender was talking about Kirk and Spock being there.
Yeah, right. You're gonna make Anne-Marie cry.
It was so cute. It was just such a cute moment, especially when the mom looked down and Mariner and Boimler carved next to them on the bar counters.
Yeah.
I love that they all hang out at dive bars. So fun. That's
a lot happens at a dive bar.
I wouldn't know.
Oh wait, and also
I
really
know. Actually, I might know more than that than a club.
But really fast. It's not too late to start Christmas shopping at Abyssinian Kiosk.
Oh, Anne Marie's ahead of the game.
I know. They're so cute. I love them. So make sure to and look at the side where it says Abyssinian Kiosk. It's in like Christmas colors.
That's
gorgeous.
Oh, that is nice. And I like the red on the inside of it.
I know, it's really pretty.
So everybody at home that's watching, Abyssinian Kiosk is a website that creates all kinds of cool shirts and goodies, run by Cirroc Lofton's sister, you may or may not know. And you can find the website in the description box of this video or audio podcast. You can find it in there. It's abyssiniankiosk.com. All kinds of good stuff. Get your Christmas, get your Halloween stuff, get your Star Trek stuff.
Halloween ones, they're in like candy corn colors. It's really cute. Okay,
yeah, we'll get the Halloween
I have a new 7th Rule shirt that I got from 7th Rule Teespring store. The poster,
Nice.
T7R poster #1.
Awesome.
Nice.
And that is also in the description box below. That's teespring.com/the7th rule. All kinds of 7th Rule goodies. I guess I might as well tell you all what this is. This is walking art made by Melissa.com, Malissa Longo's website. This is a Captain Picard. Make it so. It says, make it so, #4. Right there. I think that's it.
She's gonna have to make you a #1 shirt like that. #1.
Yeah, but have them look like the runner-up. The runner-up #1. Anne Marie's looking over her notes desperately to make sure she didn't miss anything.
I just wanted to pull up Scott Jensen's already added Jeffrey to the picture behind.
All right, let's see it. We're ready.
Yeah, I wanted to.
Hurry, no dead air.
Okay, here.
Oh my God, we're gonna be out of time.
Okay, here. Wait, should I send it to you or should I put it up to the thing?
Hold it up.
Okay, but the best part is he did like a nice little tie, but he did a really cute. Yeah, that's Jeffrey.
Oh wow, TJ.
So the best part is though, we'll share it in the group. But he put like a nice little bow around the Gorn's finger to like be. Somebody tied it around his finger. It's so cute.
It's not in the group yet. Where is it?
It was put. I found this picture while everybody was posting it before the thing came up, and then before the show came up, and Scott did it within like 2 minutes of the picture being released a couple nights ago.
Right.
And then he already also added Jeffrey to the Gorn eyes.
Yeah, I saw that. That was great. Okay, cool.
Okay,
good stuff. You can find all that cool stuff, guys, in the 7th Rule Facebook group. You go to the Facebook fan group, the 7th Rule. You can also follow us as a Facebook page or on Twitter or on Tumblr. That's the way to go, everybody. Tumble with us. Cool. Guess we got to run, everybody. Thanks so much, Anne Marie. You did all the heavy lifting for us today. All we had to do was giggle.
Very good job, Anne Marie. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Also, shout outs to my thoughts and prayers are with Dr. Sue Gruner. We haven't seen her in a while, and so I just want to make sure that she knows we're still thinking about her. Send her love to her.
Absolutely. We love you, Dr. Sue Gruner. And she'll be back shortly, we hope. And we think of her often. Anne Marie talks to her all the time.
Oh, it's like, we miss Sue. She's fast.
That's another one of our associate producers.
Also really fast. Eve England's cookie for Kayshawn. You know the puppet?
Oh, right. Yeah, that was cool.
But I don't think I have it pulled up.
I don't think I can pull it up quickly enough either.
Sorry.
Otherwise, stay tuned next week. Our good friend Eve England out in Wales, she bakes cookies and gingerbread biscuits in funny styles, and she actually made a Kayshawn, the kind of alien is it again? Tamarian, but as a puppet, as a cookie. So you're gonna love that. Okay. Wow, good job, Anne.
Sorry.
So to Anna also, really quick before we leave. Oh wow, that's
and wait, look at this little sign that says,
"I'm not a cookie. Do not eat me."
So adorable. Look at that craftsmanship. Okay.
She is amazing.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna just say our final word on this episode was it Ta'ana's line, the cat, when she was like, "Yeah, I let Admiral Vermal put a blank up my butt." I had to rewind that like 3 times because it was like,
I know. She's like Dr. Pulaski. She's like Dr. Pulaski's doppelganger. I love her.
Okay, Doopler ganger. So here's the thing, guys. Everybody in the comments below, tell us what you think Dr. Ta'ana said that was beeped out. What was put up her something or other? You make a prediction. It sounded like it started with the letter C. That's what it sounded. It sounded like she went, put up, beep, so whatever you think starts with that's what, I swear it sounded like she started with C or K sound.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, we got to run.
Dr. Pulaski right there.
We got to run.
We should have stopped recording a minute ago before we went in this direction.
Too late.
We'll see you all very soon. And until next time, always remember the 7th Rule.